This sport is sponsored by Hamul Casino. The Tigers and the Guardians are currently 1-1 in the top of the 6th inning for the first game of the day in the MLB playoffs. And the Padres and Cubs. Padres drop game 1 yesterday. They're in a elimination game potentially today. The game gets going right now here in a few minutes. Dylan Teese will be going for the Padres, while the Cubs will be going with a bullpen game. Andrew Kittredge will be going for Chicago. Hey, player, the all-new Hamul Casino Resort is all for you. Enjoy a super luxe hotel experience, a super secret speakeasy, an indulgent spa, and an epic rooftop pool. Book your experience at hamulcasino.com.
San Diego Sports 760. What's going on, everybody? Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you for the next couple of hours ahead of John and Jim, who will take over at 2 o'clock. We got a busy day. We're going to jump right into Padres Cubs game 1 before game 2 gets going here. And look, if we want to talk about honest reactions to that, it's a 3-1 loss. It's a brutal loss for the Padres. My biggest takeaway is the Padres will not win a game this postseason if Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado are hitless. In fact, 1, 2, 3 in their lineup yesterday all went hitless. Fernando Tatis Jr., Luis Arraez, Manny Machado. You could talk about the Jackson Merrill bunt all you want. Who cares? It doesn't actually matter. If Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. aren't hitting, it's been the same story all year long, by the way. If those two guys aren't hitting, the Padres aren't winning. So today, as they get ready for game 2, which is going to start here any second, that's who I'm looking at. If the Padres season is on the line, if the fate is in the balance, there are 2 guys who I'm looking at, because Nick Pivetta pitched fine yesterday. Jeremiah Estrada gave up a run. I think the Padres learned that you can't really trust him in big situations. Whatever. If Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. aren't capable, and this lineup isn't capable of scoring more than 3 runs in a postseason game, it's going to be a pretty short postseason for the San Diego Padres. Man, I'm rooting for him. Man, I hope we get to come on air tomorrow and we get to talk about a great win where the Padres offense puts up 6 runs. I really do hope that's going to happen. Unfortunately, it feels like Mike Schultz is also just hoping at this point, and AJ Preller is also just hoping at this point. That's what goes down today. It's on you guys. Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., these are when your smile should be the biggest. Right. This is when you should be hoping you're getting to play.
I'm going to hear everyone talking about the bullpen a little bit, and Jeremiah Estrada and the bunt from Jackson Merrill and Ramon Laureano not being there. At the end of the day, it comes down to 2 players in what you just said. Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado need to pick it up. It's that simple. They get paid to be the best players on the team. They're the supposed best players on the team. Manny Machado, I mean, this is going to be a real storyline. I know it's a routine out, not running to first base. It's the playoffs. And frankly, in your career, you've averaged 210 in the postseason. So I don't really know where you get the idea. You think that you shouldn't run to first base. I mean, this is embarrassing right now from the bats. I mean, the pitching's kept it together. Like you said, Nick Pivetta, I know back-to-back home runs. If you would have said the Padres, Nick Pivetta gives up 2 runs on the road in Wrigley, I think you would have taken that, because you would have expected that if the Cubs overall would only score 3 runs, the Padres bats could come through. They got to do it today, because if they lose because the bats are not there today, I mean, we're having a whole different conversation tomorrow about changes that go around with this team.
And I don't think the changes start with AJ Preller. I really don't.
I don't either.
And I think you're right, Sammy. We'll see. My biggest takeaway, and I watched a lot of baseball yesterday, starting in the morning. Every game was actually really fun yesterday outside of the night game, because the Dodgers just kind of beat the crap out of the Reds. But you look at that Yankees-Red Sox game. Yankees are down, what was it, 3-1 heading into the bottom of the 9th inning?
Yeah.
I think that was it. Did you see the look on Aaron Judge's face? He was the second person to hit in that inning. He almost had a smile. He almost had a smirk. His team was down by 2 heading into the bottom of the 9th. Literally, that is what playground dreams are made of, is that situation. And Aaron Judge walked up like, I'm about to end this mother effer. That's the face that I saw on him. Manny Machado in the top of the 9th yesterday, I don't know that I saw that same intensity. I don't know that I saw excitement to be in that situation. Hopefully things change around today. Hopefully the Padres are coming in with a good attitude here. And hopefully the top 3 of this lineup, Manny Machado, Luis Arraez, and Fernando Tatis Jr., flip that order around, by the way. But hopefully those 3 guys don't go hitless today, because if they do, this is a short postseason for the Padres, and we'll see you next year, which is the situation none of us want to be in. But I kind of feel like that's where we're at. All right, that game's about to get going. So, Sammy, let's get to the big 3 here. Sammy Long takes us through the top stories in the world of sports every single day, does an excellent job at it. Man, we got some weird ones today. I tell you what, Sammy, let's smash it.
Your lunch break is here.
Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends?
I mean, coworkers. It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
A couple ways for you to watch the show on X at Fletch and Sammy. Find us there on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760. And we got some giveaways to just throw out like crazy today. How about the 52nd annual La Mesa Oktoberfest coming up this weekend, October 3rd through the 5th? You can sip and dance in all ages beer gardens with nonstop Oompa music, 20 live bands. I'm heading out there on Saturday. We got some VIP passes for you on Sunday. More information, LaMesaOktoberfest.org. Also a pair of tickets for Sammy's favorite concert, Judas Priest and Alice Cooper.
Yes, sir.
Going to be tearing up the stage at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on Saturday, October 18th, and a pair of tickets to see those San Diego State Aztecs going up against Colorado State as they open up Mountain West Conference play this Friday night, 7:30 kickoff time. We'll have a pair for you a little bit later on as well. Sammy, where are we starting the show today?
All right, ESPN released the power rankings after week 4 of the NFL season. So I'm going to read off the top 5. Tell me what you think if you have any problems with it. Number 1, Philadelphia. Number 2, Buffalo. Number 3, Detroit. Number 4, the LA Rams. And number 5, the Los Angeles Chargers. Do you like that list? What grade would you give that?
I would probably bounce the Chargers out of that list, although I'm not 100% positive who I'm putting in their place. I think the NFL season opening up, if anything, it's shown us a lot of parity so far and a lot of injuries, unfortunately, for a lot of different teams. I mean, you got Lamar Jackson dealing with an injury. The Jets just had to put Braylon Allen out indefinitely with a knee injury. Tyreek Hill, gruesome injury. Joe Burrow, horrible injury. The entire 49ers team, you could just put a Band-Aid on all of them. So you look at what the NFL season has opened up with through 4 weeks, and it's bizarre we haven't had more huge upsets so far because of all the injuries around football. And I'm looking at it as that top 5 list is probably fine. I'm not entirely sure who I would move the Chargers out. I'd say 1 through 4, they absolutely nailed it. But the Chargers have shown us now, man, they can be beat by teams that we would have near the bottom of the power rankings. So I don't know that you can include them in the top 5 after their loss to the Giants.
I think what's been so fun about the NFL this year is there's not a team, in my estimation, that's so much better than everyone else that you look at and you go, it's them versus the field.
Right. And we thought that was the Ravens and the Bills after game 1. But both of those totally teams have struggled.
And so the Ravens are obviously 1-3, massive injury issues. The Bills have looked.
They almost lost to the Saints.
Well, the Saints, if they convert on that end of half, the Dolphins gave them a run for their money. Their schedule hasn't really permitted the Bills to be looked at as the surefire Super Bowl favorites, and we all know about the playoff failures. The Eagles, on the other hand, are 4-0. They've beaten good teams, so I got to give the Eagles credit, but they are winning in weird ways. I mean, we've talked about it a lot. We have A.J. Brown going on social media talking about how he may want out. Saquon Barkley hasn't really popped off. Maybe that's a positive thing for them, that their star players haven't really done anything, and they're winning ball games, but they don't quite look the same as last year. I don't have a problem with this list. I would maybe knock the Chargers out. I think Tampa Bay is sitting there as a potential team, but they lost to the Eagles. They showed a lot there coming back. I think Pittsburgh was actually ranked at 11. I think that was way too low for them. Not that I would have them in my top 5, but I think Pittsburgh is a team that is earning trust there, and it is kind of becoming that team that we've known that they could be the last few years if they just had a damn quarterback. I mean, that's all they had to get. But I think that's what's fun about the NFL this year is these power rankings. It's very fluid. I mean, there's not. I think we're going to see I think we might see some lower seeds possibly go far in the postseason this year.
By the way, for a 5th round pick, my guy Puka Nacua, how incredible is he, man? He's already at like plus 260 in some places for NFL Offensive Player of the Year. Like, you're talking about a couple more weeks, he's going to be minus money. He is unreal so far this season. The Rams are very, very good. Thursday Night Football, by the way, Rams-Niners. You're going to hear it here on 760.
Very excited for that.
What's
tomorrow.
Next?
All right, we're going to stick with the NFL. So some big injury news. Jaden Daniels cleared to practice, cleared to play on Sunday against the Chargers. Really fun matchup there in Los Angeles. But my question is this. If you had one quarterback going forward, Justin Herbert or Jaden Daniels, who are you going with?
I would have to go Justin Herbert. I feel like we've seen more consistency from Herbert throughout his career so far. Look, Jaden Daniels, what he did last year, maybe the best rookie season I've ever seen from any player in my entire life. Jaden Daniels was fantastic, taking that team all the way to the NFC Championship game. And by the way, turning around an entire culture of an organization, which was bad for a long, long time with the Washington Commanders / their old name. So you look at what Jaden Daniels was able to do last year, one of the more impressive things I've ever seen as a sports fan. Justin Herbert, the dude makes every single throw. We've seen him put his team on his back. We've seen Justin Herbert in situations where the offensive line completely falls apart, figure out ways to get it done with his legs. I am taking Justin Herbert because of proof of concept so far through his career. I know he hasn't won the big game. I know he was part of a huge collapse, but also the defense was too against the Jacksonville Jaguars in the postseason. I have to go with what we've seen more of, and that's Justin Herbert, who, by the way, has also been able to stay on the field essentially his whole career so far.
Well, that's an underrated part. So both quarterbacks are phenomenal. We both, you and I, have been high on Justin Herbert, and you're showing it. You're seeing it this year. Justin Herbert, who has a real head coach, not that idiot Brandon Staley.
Might win MVP if the Chargers rip off 13 wins this year.
He might. Obviously, the offensive line injuries might play a little bit of a factor into that, but Herbert's been fantastic. You see what happens when he has a real coach. Brandon Staley thought he was reinventing the wheel by going for it on his own 20-yard line, that game against the Raiders. I mean, this is not how you win football games. Anyone can go out there as a head coach and just decide to go for it every time. He has a real coach in Jim Harbaugh, and you see what's happening. I would lean Jaden Daniels just because of how young he is and the fact that he has shown, and maybe Herbert changes this, but that's pretty unreal to go on your first season with a team, a franchise, by the way, in Washington that was allergic to success for a long, long time. And you have him go on the road and beat Tampa Bay. Then you have him go on the road and beat Detroit. I know they were super injured, but still, that's extremely impressive. I will go Jaden Daniels because I do think he actually has less around him in terms of an offensive line, things like that. But that's not a slight to Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's a fantastic player. You start to wonder, like we look at top 5 quarterbacks. Your Mahomes, your Allen, your Lamar, and your Burrow, when healthy, are kind of non-negotiable. But with Burrow's injuries, with the amount of injuries that Joe Burrow has sustained, and you start to wonder with that fifth, is it Jalen Hurts? Is it Jaden Daniels? Is it Justin Herbert? I think every guy has kind of a case. Hurts has obviously got the hardware, so he might have an edge right now. But I think it's a fun discussion. Kind of who is that
for sure. And by the Jaden Daniels can change my pick pretty easily this year. If he rips off another run in the postseason like he did a year ago, you have to change your pick to Jaden Daniels in that situation. What's next?
All right, we're going to have the NBA. So the Jonathan Kuminga saga is over. This was
what a weird last few days about that, by the way.
Weird. So there's a couple things here. So Kuminga signs a 2-year, $48.5 million contract. There is a team option next year, which makes it seem like you think the Warriors, it's a very tradable contract. He could get moved at the deadline. Now, Kuminga declined a 3-year, $75 million deal because he wanted financial flexibility. And then on top of this, Steve Kerr and him have had some problems over the past. People have wondered why Steve Kerr will not play Jonathan Kuminga. And so Steve Kerr was asked about the fact that he's going into the final year of his contract and they are not extending him, or they haven't extended him yet. They're not extending him. They haven't extended him yet. He said he's comfortable with that right now, but we'll see what the future holds. Do you see the Warriors as legit title contenders this year? And what do you think going forward with the Kerr and Kuminga dynamic?
Man, you got Steph and Jimmy on the same team. They are title contenders because of the way the NBA works. And if those two guys can remain healthy, you put them in a postseason series, you feel pretty good about the Warriors' chances. That's regular season. Who knows? They're probably going to be a middle of the pack 7 seed or so heading into the postseason. But Steph and Jimmy on the same team in the postseason, they can win any game, just the two of them. Now, I will say this Kuminga thing has been so bizarre because we don't know what the background is with Steve Kerr and Kuminga. We know there's a rift there at the very least, and it seems to have not been solved yet. Did you see Steph Curry at the podium talking about this?
I did not see that.
So he was asked about it, and I had to go double, triple check this wasn't AI when I saw it because it was just very odd from Steph Curry. But he was essentially saying, look, man, I got nothing to say. I can't even dip my toe into the water on this. This is agents, general managers. I don't even feel comfortable saying the name right now. It was bizarre how Steph Curry handled
And Curry's
this.
good with the media, too. So
Curry's great with the media. And by the way, Curry's kind of a pseudo GM of the Warriors. I don't know that anyone necessarily wants him there. I don't know that he wants to be there. I think this was a way of get some money on the books. Like you said with the player option, this is a contract that, in my mind, is not with the Warriors by the end of next season.
I agree with that. I thought that was an interesting clip as well that you brought up there because Curry's usually pretty. You never see Curry getting into trouble with the media in terms of a comment. They're certainly not Anthony Edwards, who.
Well, normal Curry would say, "Man, love Kuminga. Hope he's with us for a long, long time. Love that he's a great team." Like Curry doesn't say something to piss someone off, and this was very much we'll let the agents and the GMs handle.
And
this.
Kuminga, apparently Jimmy Butler had like a basketball camp. Every member of the Warriors came except Kuminga, and this is a guy when Curry went down who averaged 20 points a game in the playoffs against Minnesota, so he can play basketball. I'm curious if Kerr's kind of on the Curry timeline. If he wonders, he's like, hey, I'm going to get out when Curry's out. Maybe Curry, if he doesn't see the vision of the team moving forward, wants to go somewhere else, spend the rest of his career somewhere else. I do think the Warriors, when healthy, are an interesting team because we didn't get to see them in the postseason with Curry and Butler. I think the concern would be age. Butler's getting up there in age, Curry's getting up there in age, and you got Draymond who's up there in age. That's why it seems so odd to me that unless Kuminga is just a locker room cancer or something, it seems odd that you would let a 23-year-old or 22-year-old forward who has a lot of talent and massive upside and who could lead your franchise once these guys go, let him walk out the door. It does seem like they signed him and now they're going to be able to trade him somewhere at the midseason point, but it just feels odd to me that they can't find a role for him. And the Kerr thing's interesting. Kerr does feel like it's on the Curry timeline. It feels like when after the Lakers got Luka Doncic and they kind of had a whole youth movement, now it feels like the Warriors are trying to do something similar because both of these teams were really aging and it looks like they were going to be irrelevant for years to come before that Luka trade. So I'm curious what the Warriors do here, if they just try to go all in on 1 year or if they try to kind of build around Kuminga. Maybe they are signing him.
I think Steve Kerr has some aspirations outside of basketball that he wants to do in his life. I do think he's on that timeline. He's had some health issues that have been directly related to basketball and the stress that he's under as the head coach. So I think we could see some changes. All right, quick break here. By the way, the first two guys listen to us. Fernando Tatis and Luis Arraez both slapped some singles. Manny Machado struck out. We'll see what happens here in the first. We'll have a score update for you on the other side. It's San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey, it's Fletch for Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use promo code Fletch, FLETCH. You're going to get a $50 bonus in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Here's what I have going right now as we speak. Fernando Tatis Jr., more than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. That already worked. Dylan Cease, less than 13.5 pitching out. I think they go to the bullpen early. And Dansby Swanson, more or less than 3.5 hitter fantasy score. That's what you can do on Prize Picks. Whatever game you're going to be watching, Prize Picks is just like a little paprika to spice it up, right? Keeps you a little more interested in it. Make sure you're invested in every single moment of it. And on Sundays, don't even get me started, dude. Football and Prize Picks go together like the best combination you could possibly think of. That's what Prize Picks can do to you. It's your sports watching paprika. How about that? Paprika that can make you a little bit of cash. Download the Prize Picks app today. When you do, use promo code Fletch. You just pick more than or less than on at least two of your players that you're watching in the game, more than or less than on their stat projections. Download Prize Picks today because on Prize Picks, it's good to be right. San Diego Sports 760. We got 13 chances today for you to win $1,000 every weekday with the bonus bucks giveaway every hour from 6 to 6. Listen for the keyword, enter it at sportssd.com. Your next chance to win $1,000 coming up at 1 o'clock. Padres score in the first inning. They got a 1-0 lead here over the Chicago Cubs. Jackson Merrill hit a sac fly to score Fernando Tatis Jr. Dylan Cease will take the mound for the Padres. All right, let's get into this a little bit because yesterday postseason baseball was electric, and especially that Yankees-Red Sox game if you were watching it. Before we get into the game a little bit, Stan Lazinski coming up at 1:30, our fantasy football expert. If you have start-sit questions for week 5 in the NFL season, yes, we're already at week 5. Get them in on the text line. We'll fill those up. Ask all of them over to Stan Lazinski, who's our fantasy expert, coming up at 1:30 today. All right, last night, I watched essentially the last 4 innings of the Red Sox-Yankees game and probably the first 5 innings of the Dodgers-Reds game. And man, it feels like playoff baseball when you got Yankees, Red Sox absolutely battling it out. That was such a cool baseball game, man. So if you missed the game here, let's set the table a little bit. Red Sox have I believe 3-1 lead heading into the bottom of the 9th inning. Yankees have the beef of their order up. Goldschmidt's due up. Aaron Judge is due up. Giancarlo Stanton is due up.
Bellinger.
Jazz Chisholm Jr., Bellinger, all due up. And immediately it starts with a Goldschmidt single. Judge comes up to the plate looking like, I'm sending this one over the effing wall. Like if you could see the look on his face, and ESPN did a good job zooming in on him, he looked like he was excited about the opportunity to step into the batter's box with the game on the line. Hell, maybe the season on the line. If you've seen the stat about teams that go down 0-1 in these wild card series. So Aaron Judge comes up with some fire on his face, man, and he belts a single. And then right behind him, was it Bellinger right after that?
Bellinger right after him.
Then Bellinger belts a single as well. And then Aroldis Chapman, who's on the mound, who at one point was a former Yankee. He's also one of the most feared pitchers in all of baseball. On the ESPN broadcast, by the way, they totally jinxed him and said, hey, I talked to some scouts who said there's nobody pitching the ball better than Aroldis Chapman right now. And boom, boom, boom.
Shout out to Eduardo Perez for trying to ruin the Red Sox.
Completely jinx him. But then he buckles down, and from going like 95 miles per hour at the beginning of the inning, he's up to hitting 101, 100 miles per hour on pretty much every pitch, and he nails them, dude. 1, 2, 3, back to back to back, gets the rest of the guys out. But the atmosphere at Yankee Stadium was absolutely electric. The place was on fire. And I'm like, oh, this is where baseball's at its best. This is where baseball can capture an audience of 15, 16 million people and maybe compete with the NFL, is moments like this. But we don't really get those moments that often, do we, Sammy?
No, this is why, I mean, I feel like most people would agree with this is, listen, we love watching baseball, Fletch. I know you do. I know our audience says I do too.
I've watched about 162 Padre games this year.
Exactly.
163, actually.
But if you were to shorten the season, they've said this for the NBA. They've said this for MLB. They said it for all this. You would get more moments like that. Like nothing creates the playoffs, but the problem is in baseball, when it's 162 games and you'll see some teams lose a division, lose 10 straight games, and they're still top the division. I mean, it's hard to have that kind of sense of urgency every night. That's why playoff baseball is just electric, because you see this. I mean, there's no more pressure building sport than when, everyone's been in the backyard as a little kid when it's bottom of the 9th and you got bases loaded and you're pitched. Like this is stuff you dream about. It's fun when you see MLB get to this kind of year because you see how great of a game baseball is. You wish there was a way, if they shorten the schedule, you could kind of create more atmospheres like that throughout the year, because there'd be more emphasis on each individual game.
Now, I know they say in baseball, it's impossible to flip the switch. It's all about momentum, coming into the postseason. The Dodgers flipped the switch. Literally was it the first pitch that Shohei took it out?
It was like the third.
It was the first at bat of the Dodgers postseason.
He crushed
Shohei
that ball
with a no doubter. And then a few innings later, another 460-foot no doubter. Teoscar Hernandez had a couple home runs too. The Dodgers offense just explodes yesterday in game 1 against Hunter Green, who's been fantastic all year. By the way, the Reds.
Well, that's what's crazy for the Dodgers. Like the bats are unreal. The starting pitching's unreal. Blake Snell puts out a fantastic start for them up there. The one big question though is the bullpen.
They gave up 5 runs.
I mean, if you're the Reds last night, you actually did a little bit of your job despite getting demolished in the game, because you actually made the Dodgers burn a couple pitchers. You feel like against the Reds, the Dodgers going to be able to handle that. The Phillies is a different story. They have to get that bullpen fixed, because if you're going against Schwarber and Harper and you're in Philadelphia and they're going crazy up there, the Dodgers do have some flaws in the back end, but the starting rotation and pitching in bats are unbelievable. That's what we've been talking about it. It feels really fun this year with MLB because there's not a team that you feel is so much better than everyone.
Right.
Like you really feel when people say anyone can win it, I really do believe that in baseball this year. Like I could see any collection of teams winning this thing, and I don't think it would be that crazy.
And I think outside of that Dodgers-Reds game yesterday, every game was close. Every game was in question.
And the Reds almost made it interesting in the 8th inning when they had bases loaded and there was only 5-run deficit.
Right. So this is when it shines, man. And I wish that games weren't being played at 10 a.m. in the morning and at noon.
Yeah,
that kind of takes away some of the buzz. But last night I had a lot of fun watching baseball, man. And hopefully this whole postseason holds true. And hopefully, we have a team here in San Diego we can root for the rest of the way. They do have a 1-0 lead through 1 inning. Shador Sanders. So we saw the news yesterday. Well, we saw the rumor yesterday that Dylan Gabriel was going to get the start this week. It got confirmed this morning. And then Shador Sanders had such a golden opportunity. Completely wasted it. Let's talk about it on the other side. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
Sports sponsored by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Padres currently up on the Chicago Cubs in Game 2, potential elimination game for the Padres, 1-0 in the top of the second. The Detroit Tigers and the Cleveland Guardians are currently tied 1-1 in the top of the seventh. And then later on tonight, the Dodgers will be looking to close out the Reds in Los Angeles at 6 o'clock. And the Red Sox will be looking to close out the Yankees on the road in the Bronx at 3 o'clock. Need HVAC this month? Get 0% for 18 months on a new system. Schedule your free proposal at AndersonPHA.com. Anderson, fast and reliable.
Coming up in 10 minutes, we're going to give away a pair of tickets to go see Judas Priest and Alice Cooper at North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on Saturday, October 18th. So keep listening for that. In about 10 minutes, we'll give those tickets away. Padres do have a 1-0 lead. Cubs actually brought in Imanaga as a second inning guy, so they just went with an opener instead of going full bullpen game. Interesting choice, because I thought the Cubbies were going to try to save Imanaga for potentially game 3 or game 1 of the following series. Interesting that they decided to go with him right away. I wonder if that's to do with the Padres scoring a run as early as they did. Maybe. I don't know.
Kind of surprised they did that.
Same.
I guess they showed in the broadcast, 12 home runs in 6 games, but that, like, I thought they were going with Imanaga tomorrow and trying to have a pitching advantage against Yu Darvish. So, I mean, possible opportunity for the Padres to capitalize.
Maybe. If the Padres can get a win here, I don't know who the game 3 starter would be for the Cubs, but you got to feel like maybe there's a little window opening. Padres are up 1-0. All right, we teased Shedeur Sanders. Let's get into this a little bit. This was bizarre, man. So Dylan Gabriel gets officially announced as the starter. Shedeur Sanders has media availability in his locker room. And instead of, having a conversation or answering questions, Shedeur Sanders just moves his mouth as if he's talking, but goes into like a full mime routine. And I get, if you dig into this a little bit, the media, this is what the defenders of Shedeur Sanders are saying. Are saying that the media has been questioning why Shedeur isn't available more for media sessions, why he isn't at the podium more. And look, he's a third string backup. That's the reason why. But Shedeur Sanders is sick of it. So instead of saying something, he's saying nothing. And he's literally miming. If you're watching on stream right now, this is what Shedeur Sanders was doing. I'm looking right into the camera.
You would think your sound was off.
Right. It's like confusing.
Like I thought my sound, I was like, what's wrong with my phone?
I thought something was wrong, or I thought the video was edited. I didn't know what was going on, because he has this big, awesome smile. Like Shedeur Sanders, charismatic dude, good looking guy, but he's not saying anything. Now, let's play a little game here. All right, Sammy, can you be a reporter asking Shedeur questions right after Dylan Gabriel gets announced as a starting quarterback?
I will. Mr. Shedeur Sanders, what do you feel about me named QB3 behind Joe Flacco despite him being benched for Dylan Gabriel?
Look, here's the thing. Dylan Gabriel, I'm rooting for him, man. Can't wait to see what he does on Sunday. We've been grinding all offseason together. We've been ever since we both got drafted by the Browns. We've been working to make each other better all the time. I got high hopes for Dylan. Can't wait to see him go out there and show what he's been working on. And you know what? If the day comes where my name gets called, I'm ready to get out there too. Of course, I'm disappointed I'm not playing right now, but can't wait to cheer on my teammate.
That's how a professional would have handled it.
What's the headline on ESPN the next day?
They're going, Shedeur Sanders has learned from his mistakes after all of the pre-draft process, apparently him skipping out on interviews, purposely tanking interviews. People are going, wow, Shedeur Sanders might be a steal for the Browns. Now we get this. And
Shedeur's an a-hole. That's what everyone's saying today.
And he's just confirming what they all said along. And when everyone was like, this is a hit from the NFL, trying to kind of blackball him and not draft him till the 5th round, despite his talent being a 1st round or 2nd round talent. This is what I don't understand from Shedeur Sanders' perspective. You're already kind of getting what you want, because you knew that Dylan Gabriel, they were going to have to start him for PR reasons over you, because they took Dylan Gabriel 2 rounds ahead of you. They took him in the 3rd round and Shedeur Sanders in the 5th. So even though, despite for all the various reasons why Shedeur Sanders fell to the 5th round,
unless there was a massive gap in training,
right? Like Shedeur Sanders is lighting it up in the preseason.
It was always going to be Dylan Gabriel.
It was, unless he had a Dak Prescott type preseason when he came on the scene, he was going to be behind Dylan Gabriel. You're already getting part of what you want. Dylan Gabriel starting, Joe Flacco's done. Despite him being quarterback 2 ahead of Shedeur Sanders, do you think if Dylan Gabriel over the next 3 to 4 weeks goes out there and puts up a stinker,
they're not putting Flacco back in?
And do you think the fan base, they got to sell tickets. You think the fan base is going to go to the game if they put Joe Flacco back in and you got Shedeur Sanders on the bench to see what you have when you're already going to have a bad record, likely, unless Dylan Gabriel or one of these guys pops? and you're going to be picking at the top of the draft next year where you could potentially get a quarterback. All Shedeur had to do was give the Ben Fletcher response of, we're excited to see Dylan Gabriel play. When my time is called, I will be ready to go. And this dude could have started probably the final 8 games of the season, and
which he still might.
But
this is just a bad look for him. Now, my brain doesn't want to go here, but this is immediately where my brain goes to. This is Shedeur making the story about himself once again.
Of course.
And that sucks, but he's sort of painted himself in that narrative. And that's exactly what he's doing here. You get up and do something nobody's ever seen before in an NFL locker room, and you have the name Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, everything is going to be targeted at you now. And maybe he wants it that way. Maybe he wants to be the bad guy of the NFL. And he wants to come out in a couple weeks after Dylan Gabriel struggles, which I expect him to do, which Sammy expects him to do. And Shedeur Sanders gets to have this narrative of maybe he's the Darth Vader of the NFL. But do you really want to be that guy?
And also, if you think about this, I know this would be hard as a professional athlete.
He's turning heel.
Because you want to, right. They're on the road in Dublin, taking on a Brian Flores Minnesota defense that is one of the best defensive coordinators in the game.
Dylan Gabriel's going to get killed.
So if Dylan Gabriel, hopefully this doesn't happen, but gets his head bounced off the turf in the second quarter, and Shedeur he's been working with the scout team, has had no time to adjust to the offense, to get in here and kind of get accustomed to everything. Then if he's QB2, he gets thrown in the game. So the Browns thinking is, all right, if this were to happen, God forbid, we're going to let Joe Flacco finish the game, and then you would give Shedeur Sanders a full week of practice to try to get this and pick a spot where you feel like Shedeur could have success, where you're not going up against the Chiefs or the Bills or the Eagles, and you're like, he's going to get destroyed in his first start. I've always been rooting for Shedeur ever since he kind of tanked in the draft. I wasn't a big fan of Colorado, but kind of seeing the NFL not draft him high, I was kind of rooting for him. Ben, I know you were too. Now you kind of see why. And I don't want to be this guy, but like karma always has a way of coming to get you, because the Ravens tried to draft him.
And he said no.
He said no. And I'm not saying I fault him for that, because I get in his head, he's like, why would I want to go to a team that's backing up a 2-time MVP that's going to be there? Well, guess what? Lamar's likely going to miss weeks, and he would be starting for a John Harbaugh-led coach and team that it was Zay Flowers.
An offense that fits him very nicely, by the way.
Derrick Henry. That would be an offense ready to succeed. And so it's kind of like, I wonder how much Shedeur was seeing everyone going, he'd be starting this week. If they did this. And it's just a bad look for Shedeur Sanders.
And not for nothing, but understanding context is everything here. We're a month away from the trade deadline. Cleveland Browns probably aren't going to have all 3 of these guys on their roster by the time the trade deadline gets here. You know what I mean? Like, somebody might get moved here.
Right, if Gabriel's
good. If they wanted to move you, Shedeur, you're probably starting now instead of Dylan Gabriel. Like, Cleveland has committed themselves, I think, in a weird way to Shedeur Sanders.
Because if Gabriel's good, let's say Gabriel, and I don't see it in Gabriel, but we'll see. He got destroyed at Oregon. He had a great offensive line, great receiving core, great running game. In Ohio State, when he played a team that had a legit pass rush, was all over him. We'll see what happens. He doesn't have a big arm. He's very accurate, but he's kind of a statue in the pocket. Like, if he's good the next month, then they might look to trade him, because they're like, we might have a franchise quarterback here. I don't think that's going to happen, but let's see what it does. It's just like, Shedeur, why? Like, this was such an easy situation to handle, and you completely botched it.
It would be funny to me if Dylan Gabriel comes out and just lights it up. Like, Minnesota's defense is very good, and they've already been overseas for a week. Like, you're putting Dylan Gabriel in a pretty tough spot here. His first start in the NFL, going up against Minnesota's defense, going overseas to face a team who's already been overseas. It's a tough spot for Dylan Gabriel, but what if he goes out there and lights it up? Wouldn't that be funny?
In a weird way, he has a lot of pressure, and that a lot of the fan base wants Shedeur Sanders, but Shedeur doing this is just bringing more pressure to Shedeur.
Yeah.
So Gabriel kind of gets to play loose.
Like, if Gabriel goes out there and stinks it up for a couple weeks, we all were expecting that anyways.
Right.
And then Shedeur gets out there and struggles.
Right. What happens?
Oh,
I mean,
it's not a spot I want to be in.
It's just, you're starting to see why the NFL was like, I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah. And I think that, unfortunately, a lot of what we assumed about Shedeur is kind of coming true. And we learned that in about 25 seconds yesterday when he was in front of media and he was just mouthing words. It was bizarre. It was weird.
And what we're going to see is, does Deion, when he's having his Colorado presser, who already had a good quote about Colorado this week, saying they're massively underperforming and have way more talent than this, he'll say what he thinks. We all know Deion Sanders. He's not going to hide what he thinks. If Dylan Gabriel sucks the next 2 weeks, what are the odds in Vegas that Deion Sanders goes to the mic and goes, my son should be starting? What's the odds?
Probably pretty good. Yeah, I don't really get it. I think Shedeur was actually on a stretch of, since the time he was drafted until today, he was doing a pretty good job, man. His quotes in the preseason were all about, I'm here to put in the work. I told my dad to stay away. I'm here to just work and become the best NFL quarterback I can be. And then 2 months later, 3 months later, we see this from Shedeur Sanders. I don't get it, man. I don't know who's telling him what to do, or if that was his idea, or if he thought about it 5 seconds before the camera got in his face and that's what he just decided to do. It's a bad look for Shedeur. It's a bad look for the Browns, I think. And I would imagine there's some conversations being had right now about Shedeur Sanders. All right, quick break here. Long shots on the other side. Our guy Sammy, perfect 2 for 3 yesterday. And my dude,
we were so close.
The 2 for 3 is crazy.
I had 3 winners over the last week.
You've been on fire. I love you. You know that. Text line loves you. YouTube chat loves you.
The text line mostly loves me.
Mostly loves you.
Right. If I win them money.
There's some Eagles fans on there who are not.
Yeah, there's some Eagles fans who are not big fans of me.
All right. Right now, let's give away some tickets. We said Judas Priest and Alice Cooper tickets. Let's do those right now. They're playing October 18th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, coming up here in a couple of weeks. If you want to go to that show, you can buy tickets at Ticketmaster.com, or you can be caller number 7 right now, 877-767-4760. Your shot to go see Judas Priest and Alice Cooper. Shout out to our buddy Brian, who's going to see Judas Priest and Alice Cooper at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. We'll have another pair of those tickets coming up tomorrow, so stay tuned. John and Jim will have another pair to give away as well. Coming up in hour number 2, we got more tickets to give away. La Mesa Oktoberfest this Sunday, some VIP tickets. How about that? And then we also have a pair of tickets for Friday night's game for San Diego State taking on Colorado State, the Rams at Snapdragon Stadium, the opener for Mountain West Conference play for San Diego State. All those coming up in hour number 2. Also in hour number 2 today, Stan Lazinski, our fantasy football expert, dynastypricecheck.com is where you can find him online, but he's going to answer all of your start sit questions for week 5 of fantasy football. Stan Lazinski coming up at 1:30. Get those in on the text line 70470. Start your message with team. Dylan Cease pitching well through the first through 2 innings of the game. Top of the third right now. Padres do have a 1-0 lead, and they are threatening once again. Hopefully this day can go well. Padres can get a win in game 3 tomorrow, and then they're on to the NLDS. And we forget all those conversations we had about Manny Machado not coming up in the postseason. All right, Sammy, yesterday, very, very close. I feel bad. This was my pick that failed us. I said Ellie De La Cruz, more than 1 total base.
It's all right.
It didn't happen. Look,
I believed in it too. I thought Ellie De La Cruz would perform better.
He walked twice yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, he walked and then
scored a run even.
Yeah, I was very disappointed in that, but it is what it is. Blake Snell put on an epic performance, and who was our other one came through?
I don't remember. Not important.
Not important. You know what? Because we're looking.
I think it was Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge came through. Aaron Judge had 2 hits on the day.
He came through with his final at bat, by the way.
Yes, we're sweating that very hard there at the end.
All right, Sammy, let's not waste any more time. Let's get to long shots here on October 1st. Holy crap, it's October 1st.
That's a little crazy.
Did everyone remember to pay rent? Because I haven't. I'm going to have to do that while Sammy talks us through this lineup. All right, long shots. Smash it.
You looking for some luck? Want to win big? Gotta play big.
You are so money, you don't even know it.
Time to take a chance.
Say that man his man.
With long shots.
All right, Sammy, where would you like to go today?
We got 2 Yankees and a Dodger.
Ooh.
We're going MLB tonight. I feel good about this line. There's something, I don't know. I like it. All right, we're starting with the Yankees, Red Sox.
I got one cooking right now in this Padres game that I'm pretty sure is going to hit.
Really? Would you like to tell everyone what it is?
Sure.
Let us know.
I mean, it's already happening, so.
Okay, we'll tell it later. All right.
But Tatis has already cashed his.
Tatis playing well today.
Yeah, he is.
All right, so we're going to go first we're going to stick with the Yankees and Boston game that gets going earlier. Okay, Carlos Rodon, Yankees pitcher, they're going to have the matchup tonight against Brian Bello. Now, it was more important for the Red Sox, on the road, to get the first one with Crochet. Crochet and Fried, that was a duel yesterday. That was a really fun left-handed pitching matchup. A lot of Aaron Boone criticism for pulling Max Fried a little bit too early. Today, Carlos Rodon's going to have to carry it because Luke Weaver, who was the former closer for the Yankees, ended up actually giving up kind of the game there in the middle with giving up a few runs to the Red Sox. Carlos Rodon, very underrated pitcher. I think 6 pitch strikeouts, a little bit low for him. It's a tight game. It's a playoff game. Even if he gives up a home run or 2, I don't see them just batting him around the bases. More than 6 pitch strikeouts. All right, Jazz Chisholm.
You all right over there?
Yes, I had a little little allergies going on.
It happens.
It happens. Had to turn my mic off.
Are you okay?
I'm okay. I'm back.
Can you breathe?
I'm here. Carlos Rodon, more than 6 pitch strikeouts. Jazz Chisholm, Red Demon, more than 1.5 total bases. Jazz Chisholm was one of the guys who's been kicking himself all night. He came up, big spot in the game.
Bases loaded.
Bases loaded. Did not come through. Popped up to the right center field. I think Jazz Chisholm's a big-time player. Came over from Miami. He's got the swag. He's fun for the game of baseball. He bat flips and does home run dances. Jazz Chisholm is a guy that's going to be going to show up in this game. I really feel against Brian Bello. More than 1.5 total bases, Jazz Chisholm. I think he gets a double in this game, or maybe it's a home run out of the park. Shout out to Jazz Chisholm. I think he's going to come through for us today.
Wait, you said total bases?
Yeah, more than 1.5 total bases, Red Demon.
Okay, just so everyone knows, because we've been burned on this in the past as of last night, total bases means on base via a hit.
That's fine.
So he's going to need a double or 2 singles.
They're not pitching around Jazz Chisholm. That's what I'm saying. Because you got Judge in the lineup, you got Stanton, you got all these guys. They're not pitching around him. So Jazz Chisholm, 1.5 total bases. They're not going to walk in. He's going to have ample opportunity to get this. Then we're going to go to the Dodger game. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, more than 17.5 pitching outs. Anyone who watched that game last night, the Dodgers pitching staff is fantastic, starting pitching staff. The bats are unreal. The bullpen, not so much. Bullpen's pretty rough.
So that means he's working through the 6th.
That's what the Dodgers have to do. The Dodgers are a complete inverse of what they were last year. Last year against the Padres, they had an excellent bullpen. The starting pitching staff was an atrocity outside of Yoshinobu Yamamoto. This year, starting pitching staff is fantastic, and in the bullpen, it leaves a lot to be desired. Alex Vesia got touched up a little bit last night. 20 pitches for him. Edgardo Henriquez, I think, will be off the playoff roster for the next round should they get through. Dreyer threw a lot of pitches last night. Trinan came in the 9th and was able to handle that a little bit. But I think Yoshinobu Yamamoto is going to go a long ways in this game. And if they were to lose this game tomorrow because they have Shohei Ohtani going, Shohei Ohtani is going to cap out at 5 innings. Then you're going to see them throw tomorrow. If the Dodgers are in a must-win game, they might go Ohtani and then Glasnow. I mean, they might be throwing all these starters out there. I think Yamamoto, they're going to let him go away because that's the way that they're going to have to win tonight. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he's pitched big in big moments in the World Series against the Padres. More than 17.5 pitching outs. Dave Roberts going to leave him in the game. So to recap, Carlos Rodon, more than 6 pitcher strikeouts. Jazz Chisholm Jr., more than 1.5 total bases. Red Demon. And then Yoshinobu Yamamoto, more than 17.5 pitching outs. That Red Demon's going to bump that lineup up for us.
I know. I like it a lot. I got 20 on it, Sammy. Hashtag faith in Sammy.
I'm putting 20 on it right now.
I love it. By the way, not for nothing, and don't want to spoil anything for anyone in case you're recording it, but Manny Machado has been up in this game twice with runners in scoring position. The Padres have 1 run and Manny Machado has 0 RBIs. That's just telling you how that's going.
It's just, I don't want to be this guy, but
dude, it's frustrating.
Like watching this game right now, the Padres had a lead yesterday. I'm not going to say that they're going to lose this game.
They're up 1-0.
Dylan Cease on the mound. He's cooking. What happened yesterday? O'Hearn comes up.
They had a 1-0 lead yesterday.
Runners on the corners, and they missed opportunity. There's been multiple missed opportunities twice now with runners on third, and you'd think that in Chicago you'd want to be putting pressure on these guys where they're having to swing for the fences. 1-0's nothing in the playoffs.
Dude, Freddie Fermin rips a no-out double. He gets on second to start the inning, and
why is Fermin the only guy that's hitting?
I know it's frustrating, man. It really is. So we'll see. Hopefully Dylan Cease is able to pitch an absolute gem here and get through all of this. But the Padres are going to, we learned this yesterday, literally. The Padres not coming through in the early innings with runners in scoring position leads to the 3-1 loss. The Padres have now not come through twice with runners in scoring position in this game already. By the way, with the guy you want up to bat in Manny Machado. And hopefully it doesn't burn him again. We'll see. They got a 1-0 lead right now. You feel good about that, but we could have been feeling a lot better if it was a 3 or 4-0 lead.
858 text in. Bottom line, Padres will never win with Machado as their leader.
I don't even know if I'm ready to go there yet, but here's what I'll say. The proof is staring at us right in the face.
Are you surprised that Adrian Morejon is warming up in the pen right now?
No, because Dylan Cease has given up a lot of hard contact, man. That first inning, it was 2 balls that looked like they should have been home runs, and they both died at the warning track. So I'm not super surprised. I think he has a very, very tight leash on him right now. And while, yes, there is a 0 in the Chicago Cubs column, they got runners on base again, and Dylan Cease has given up a lot of hard contact already.
858. I got so lucky. I listened to the stream late. Gavin Luck's line was unavailable, and Yankees were in progress. So I changed it to Ellie De La Cruz, more than 0.5 runs, and Judge more than 1.5 hits. Runs both demons cash. Shout out to the 858.
How about you, 858? Enjoy that money. Blood money is what it is because you veered off the course, which I do all the time.
Yeah, you did the other day, and then went on the show and bragged about it.
I forgot. I'm sorry. I was like, oh man, I'm so proud of Sammy. We got a long shots winner over the weekend. I was like, extra like $300 in my pocket. Can I tell you?
On Sunday, I text Fletch and I'm like frustrated at Saquon Barkley because we had a 5-legger and I hit 4 or 5. And I was in Vegas on Saturday night and I was following the college football picks, Julian Sayin and Dante Moore. I was like, okay, I like where we're at. And the one guy I was like, Saquon Barkley is the one guy in this parlay that I can trust. I bet on Jackson Dart. Does not come through. 858 was responding to our conversation earlier about Herbert versus Jaden Daniels. Who would you rather have in their matchup? Herbert has finished as a top 10 QB once his rookie year. Everyone does this in September. We all know the Chiefs will be in the AFC Championship game. Okay, let the season play out. Remember that we had the Padres finishing with 135 wins after the 14-3 start.
Sammy doesn't often just go to the text line unprompted, but if there's something positive about the Chiefs, you better believe Sammy's just going to throw an e-break in there and say, oh, Chiefs?
I mean,
Chiefs in
the people are talking, Fletch. I don't want to silence the people. The people are texting us in, and we're going to read what they're going to say.
Sure. All right. Yeah. Chiefs in the AFC Championship game.
But I think the Herbert thing's
2-2 right now. 500 team. Sure.
Do you think though? Like,
look, I'm telling you what I see with my eyeballs, and I think Justin Herbert's an excellent quarterback. I think he was very, very poorly coached early in his career. I do too. I think that at this point, I don't like Jim Harbaugh. I'll just say it. I am biased against Jim Harbaugh. I think he's a fantastic football coach, and he's doing a good job with Justin Herbert. And as corny and as canned as it seems when he talks about Justin Herbert, like they're star-crossed lovers or something, it's weird how Jim Harbaugh talks about Justin Herbert. It's a little odd. But he's doing a really good job as his head coach. And outside of one speed bump so far this season, in a game, by the way, where your left tackle gets hurt early in the game, I think the Chargers are going to be just fine.
858. I do think Herbert's a top 10 quarterback. I think Herbert is a fantastic player who has been hindered by the fact of Brandon Staley's
a dumbass.
Was a horrible head coach. I think that they lacked receiver weapons before, but this year there's not a lot of excuse because the Padres the Chargers start 3-0 and they have weapons. They have an offensive line. Now, I know that's gotten hurt. Alt will be back in a few weeks. Rashawn Slater's not there. They have a top-tier defense. So, like Herbert this year, you talk about one of the most pressure in the league to win a playoff game. If Herbert goes to the playoffs and puts up a stinker, there's a serious conversation about this guy can't win in the postseason.
I agree. All right. Speaking of winning in the postseason, Padres are trying to right now. Cleveland just took a 2-1 lead. Detroit leads that series 1-0. Cleveland just got a home run late in that game in the bottom of the 8th. Fantastic baseball game. Really good series so far between Detroit and Cleveland. Both teams who were kind of wavering there at the end of the season. Would they make it? Would they wouldn't? Both of them get in. It's been a lot of fun so far watching that series. All right, quick break here. Hour 2 next. Aztec football tickets on the other side. La Mesa Oktoberfest VIP tickets on the other side, as well as our fantasy football expert, Stan Lazinski. Big Stan.
Get those texts in, baby.
Big Stan, 70470. Start your message with team. If you got any fantasy football questions for week 5 of the NFL season, Stan Lazinski's your guy. With all the injuries, there's got to be a million of them floating around. It's San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app.
This sport is sponsored by IHOP. The Padres currently up 1-0 in the bottom of the third. Bogart just had a pop out or a line out, and they're reviewing for a double play right now. Tigers and Guardians. Guardians hit a big home run in the last inning. They're up 3-1 over Detroit. Is the bottom of the eighth with 2 on. The night games, the Dodgers will be hosting the Reds, looking to close out Cincinnati at the Ravine up in LA at 6 o'clock, and the Yankees will look to stay alive against the Red Sox at 3 p.m. Introducing the IHOP value menu, where all your breakfast faves are just $6 each every day. Where else can you get a big filling sit down breakfast for only $6? Go to your happy place with the $6 IHOP value menu, available every day at IHOP, $7 in some locations.
Yeah, it's hour number 2 here on San Diego Sports 760. A couple giveaways for you in this hour. A pair of tickets to go see San Diego State this Friday night against Colorado State at Snapdragon Stadium. Also, a pair of VIP passes for La Mesa Oktoberfest coming up this weekend. It's October 3rd through the 5th. Our passes that we have for you are for Sunday. It is an awesome event. I went last year. I'm going again this year on Saturday. I can't wait for it. It's something I look forward to every single year, the La Mesa Oktoberfest. And you can find more info on it at lamesaoktoberfest.org, happening this week. They totally transformed the downtown. It's awesome. And some of my favorite little dive bars are down there as well. All right, it's San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you for the next 2 hours. A wild play just happened in the Cubs and Padres series. Dylan Cease looked like he was about to give up the first run for the Padres in this game. And Xander Bogaerts kind of snatched it out of midair on a line drive, dove for second base to try to force the double play. But Swanson just snuck in past the outstretched glove. And so that was the Padres' challenge, and they lost the challenge, and the Cubs are still threatening. All right, hour number 2 here. We're going to get into some fantasy football start-sit questions with our fantasy football expert, Stan Lazinski, coming up at 1:30. So get those in here on the text line, 70470. Start your message with team. Sammy, this has been a little sketchy territory here for Dylan Cease, as he's been giving up a lot of hard contact, but we'll see if the Padres can get out of here with a win. He did just get out of the inning. All right, San Diego Sports 760, week 5 of the NFL season. We talked about this a lot yesterday, Sammy, but we've survived. We are into week 5 with our Circa Survivor pool. And now, does Dylan Gabriel starting for the Browns this weekend against the Vikings make you feel more comfortable with our Vikings pick or less comfortable?
Less comfortable.
Really?
Less comfortable, because Joe Flacco, really good career, won a Super Bowl. So showing Joe Flacco some love. They cannot move the ball. And what makes me nervous now, if you said, Sammy, your life's on the line, are you picking the Vikings or the Browns? I'm picking the Vikings. But
our life is on the line, Sammy.
Yes, $18 million is on the line, Fletch. But what makes me nervous is that we've seen quarterbacks come in. I remember this vividly. We're just talking about Justin Herbert. I remember the Chiefs playing Justin Herbert and the Chargers in week 2.
Tyrod Taylor had like a punctured lung or something.
Justin Herbert, Chiefs had done no film on him.
With a needle from the training staff of the Chargers.
Yeah, that
was so crazy.
That was crazy. And Justin Herbert lit the Chiefs up. Chiefs won that game, but it was scary. Like Justin Herbert, it was almost like the defense was out of sorts because they didn't know how to stop Justin Herbert. They watched no tape on him. Dylan Gabriel, there's no tape on him. You watch Oregon highlights. So yes, do I think Brian Flores probably has a big system for him and in a tough I bet they have a good game.
Where the hell are we going, Sammy? Because I don't feel comfortable with any other game. I don't know.
Like all these games,
we feel like there's going to be a bloodletting this week. So we're trying to avoid that massive upset. I think the massive upset is going to be the Raiders on the road in Indianapolis.
See, that's a problem because that was like,
and you sent it to me yesterday of where picks are most likely to land. And most of the picks were on that Indy Raiders game.
Now, the most bet game that we actually can't is the Cardinals to beat the Titans. So come on, Tennessee. That would be massive.
Huge.
For us.
And I could kind of see it if I'm being honest.
I could see it too.
Tennessee's not going winless this year.
That's what makes me nervous about the Colts, though, is that despite the Raiders being the Raiders, Genty finally got it going. They beat the Bears on a blocked field goal. They could be 2-2 right now. The defense can cause havoc, and we're looking at the Colts, and we're like, I could easily see 1 week the Colts turning back into the Colts that we thought they all were.
Now, I'll tell you, in my pick'em league, where we pick against the spread every week, and it's a cumulative total by the end of the year, we did pick Detroit this week. Detroit playing on the road against the Bengals, and I feel strong about that.
Well, that's the safe pick.
But we don't want to waste Detroit this early
because so there's three teams that play on both Christmas and Thanksgiving,
and those get treated as their own separate weeks.
Right. The Chiefs, the Cowboys, and the Lions. So the problem is we're already looking at Thanksgiving. That Ravens game, we already picked the Ravens on their one win, and then the Bengals, Joe Burrow's out, so there's no chance we're picking the Bengals. So with injuries on these games, like God forbid if some team's missing their star quarterback, you need to keep as many of these available. That's where it gets hard. I don't want to pick. I think about the Cowboys over the Jets. Otherwise, I think Detroit is the super safe pick over the Browns.
So these are all teams we have available to us. 19% of the public expected to be on Indianapolis in Circa Survivor. 15% of the league expected to be on Detroit. 9% expected to be on Rams. Let's go Niners. 7% expected to be on Buffalo. I think that number's so low because so many people have already picked Buffalo. So
in that case,
I'm still riding with the Vikings if it's me. If I'm making this pick and it's already done and it's all up to Fletch, I am picking the Vikings. But our name in the Circa thing is Fletch and Sammy.
Hold on. Can I ask you a real question?
Sammy?
Can I ask you a real question?
Sammy? Of course.
Take your bias out of this.
What about it?
Are your Niners going to win tomorrow?
There's a chance. Kyle Shanahan's been very good against Sean McVay in his career. Doesn't matter who's playing quarterback.
Is it contingent on who's playing quarterback, though?
For me, it's honestly, I might feel better about Mac Jones being in this game than Brock Purdy. If I'm being completely honest, I think Brock Purdy is not healthy. His plant foot is all out of whack with his toe injury. He says his toe's still hurt. He's extremely questionable for this game. Now, here's what changes things. If Pearsall and Jennings aren't playing in this game, I feel like you have to take Rams. But it's still in division primetime. I want to stay away from as much as possible, no matter what division, what primetime is. That's just a recipe for disaster because of how well these coaches know each other. And let me add this one to you. I've been to a Rams-Niners game in LA before. It might as well be a Niners home game.
Right.
So I just laying all that out there. I would, if that game lost, Sammy, and that's the one we picked, I don't know that I could ever speak to you again.
As of right now, the Niners have ruled Brock Purdy out versus the Rams. Literally just came down.
And I honestly might feel more comfortable if Mac Jones is the quarterback of the Niners.
Pearsall and Jennings are out as of right now per Ian Rappaport.
It's a conversation for sure. Not one that I'm willing to have right now before I process all these emotions. Sammy, let's get to the big three of hour number 2. Oh, man, that makes me angry.
I just heard from you about how you feel. All right, let's go to big three.
Let's go to big three.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
As you were saying those words, I'm not making this up. I promise you. A cold sweat is going down my back right now.
I understand. All right, we're going to start with that game.
All right, if I'm the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Isaiah Pacheco, and you know what? Xavier Worthy too, all out for your next game. How are you feeling?
Well, we've had to deal with it. That's what I try to tell you.
You've not had to deal with a game where Patrick Mahomes has missed since he's taken over. Sammy Long.
Okay, but comparing Brock Purdy to Patrick Mahomes is crazy.
It's fair because they're the starting quarterbacks for each team.
Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy have been out, and I try to tell everyone the offense will be better when they're back.
I'm sorry, are you saying the starting quarterback is not an important position?
No one wanted to listen to me, but that's fine.
Gracious.
That's fine. Everyone can find out on their own.
2-2. Relax over there.
Okay, Thursday night football.
2-2.
5.5 point spread. The Rams are favored in Los Angeles. Brock Purdy is out. Ricky Pearsall's out. Juwan Jennings are out. Thursday night versus the Rams. Fletch, this is a question for you. If the Niners go on a little bit of a losing streak here with Nick Bosa and all these injuries happening,
who Nick Bosa's new girlfriend is?
No.
Megan Maroney. Excellent country singer. Beautiful woman.
Really?
Gorgeous.
Okay.
They're gonna have some incredible
That's the big
looking
three
children.
Story, guys. Give your opinion. No. Do you think that the Niners should? It would be better for the Niners to lose out and try to get a big draft pick next year, considering all the injuries and the fact that Nick Bosa will not be there the rest of the year.
It's still important to remember, and I know this is gonna sound crazy. They're 3-1.
Well, that's what I'm asking. They have a good record, but all the injuries are piling up.
They're 3-1 with one of the easiest schedules in football. I don't think in good conscience until they're look, if they drop a game under 500 here over the next couple weeks, yes, tank. Absolutely tank and get some GD offensive linemen on this program so that Brock Purdy doesn't go through another injury-riddled season. But at this point, no, I cannot say I'm ready to tank. Do I think they're going to win on Thursday? This is like a 40-60 game to me in favor of the Rams.
Well, so now I got to check the Circa line. We might have to get the pick in for the Thursday game.
We're not picking the Thursday game. I can't do that in good faith.
Well, this is not about your fandom.
I understand.
This is about us winning $18 million.
I understand. But you have to know how good Kyle Shanahan has been against Sean McVay.
Oh, Lord.
I understand the injuries are stacking up. Do you also understand? Can I just point this out? Everybody is thinking that right now, Sammy.
Yeah, but we don't like any other game.
We do. We like the Vikings still.
I don't know if we like the Vikings. Can you text us 70470? Start your message with team. Tell us who to pick for Circa.
Think about everything.
Convince Fletch that his fandom can't get in the way of us making money.
By the way, I agree 100%. And if it was anybody but the Rams, if the Niners were huge dogs like against the Bills in this situation, I would say absolutely we're taking the Bills. But would you rather not have the Rams here in a couple weeks when their schedule really?
Well, I would, but in a week where we don't have
Sammy, we said this yesterday. In division primetime matchups are a no-go.
I know, but I didn't know that everyone's out. Okay, all right. I think the Niners, it would be interesting to see what would happen if they had a big time losing record, because this team is Fletch's face. Because this team does have a lot of young talent. I'm having
a hard time breathing props right now, if I'm being honest.
Juwan Jennings, and you got Ricky Pearsall. You got some young talent there. Brock Purdy. I'm not the highest on Brock Purdy. Fletch loves him. I mean, we've had that ad nauseum. The defense is very good. I think it makes you nauseous.
No, I said we've heard it ad nauseum. That far?
You never heard the term ad nauseum?
Of course I have. What do you think it comes from?
If you guys bottomed out, because the division is interesting. Like we looked at this as a 2-horse race between the Rams and the Niners to a lesser extent, but the Seahawks look really good. The Seahawks look like a team that's kind of come out of the nowhere team, and the Cardinals aren't that bad either. I mean, they were hanging in there with the Seahawks too. So I'm curious what happens here with all the injuries going forward. I don't know what the Niners are going to do. I think
the next story?
I think the Niners' worst thing they could do is be in the middle of the pack.
What's the next story?
You're 7-10. You're 8-9.
Sammy, what's the next story?
The text line knows. They're all chiming in right
What's
now.
The next story?
Let's head to college football. Lane Kiffin, who has been in the news recently, nothing better than a Lane Kiffin quote.
Well, his daughter's in the news. I don't know if he's in the news. Did you see the guy his daughter's dating?
Yeah, the linebacker for LSU.
He was puking all over the place.
Yeah.
In the middle of the game.
Lane Kiffin said they upped the tempo to...
What did Lane Kiffin put in his dinner the night before family dinner?
Lane Kiffin's an absolute menace to society. He says dynasties are over for the bigger SEC teams with 9 league games. They're going to 9 league games next year. They're going to be playing more in conference. Reaction to these comments, and do you think that this is an SEC coach talking about how dynasties are over, after a lot of people have been saying that the Big Ten has overtaken the SEC as the premier college football conference in college football?
He's probably right. And by the way, it's about time the SEC had to play a tough schedule outside of just 8 conference games. This is good for college football. The regular season is going to be more competitive. It's going to be a little crazier. I'm all here for this, but that comes with the territory of what we're seeing in the NFL season right now. When every game is that competitive, you're probably going to lose some more guys to injury, and that sucks. It really does suck. Teams in the SEC, teams in the Big Ten are going to get beat up more regularly, more often, because they're having to try that much harder week in and week out. And by the way, that's a strain on the coaching staff. You're not able to look ahead past games anymore, so you're not getting the game plan set for, I don't know, let's say it's a big one. Let's say it's Michigan, Ohio State coming up in 2 weeks, but Michigan has 2 knockovers in the weeks leading up to that. You're able to start game planning for Ohio State 3 weeks in advance. That's gone. That's no longer a thing if you're talking about big-time college football. So it's going to get tougher, but guess what? That also means the product is going to be better for fans.
100% agree with everything you said. Look at Texas right now. Texas opens the season with Ohio State. Give them credit. They go on the road in the horseshoe. It's defending champs. And then they play 3 weeks of pure dog crap. I mean, they play Sam Houston State. They play, I forget the other team. They played Sam Houston State. They played a team in the middle of Texas. I mean, this is embarrassing. We have seen Arch Manning has basically gone by the wayside because the next test is this week or next week. I believe they're playing Florida in the Swamp. That's the next real test. I totally agree with you. It's fun when these conferences have to play each other, because even in the Big Ten, if you have to go to Rutgers and play, even though Rutgers isn't some premier program, that's way better than playing Northwest Missouri State. I'm sorry, it's not fun for fans when you beat a team 78-0. That's just embarrassing. It's not fun. I don't even think it's fun for the athletes. It's they're just showing up to collect a paycheck. I like that they're going to more conference games in the SEC, and I do think the Big Ten has taken them over because they have the last 2 national champions, and this year they're deeper. They seem more top heavy. Everyone thought Texas was kind of the last savior for the SEC, and I don't know if they're going to win the championship, and I don't know about Georgia either. All right, heading to story number 3, the MLB playoffs. What team is under the most pressure to win a World Series this season?
It is a really good question, and I think there's a lot of layers to this one. The Padres are probably under the most pressure in terms of window closing. I don't know how many more years this Padres team, as it's currently constituted, is going to be able to compete for a World Series. And I say that knowing full well the situation they're in right now, like literally at the moment. But you look at the Yankees, and I feel like that team is in almost a similar spot. However, they'll be able to overcome it in a few years because of the way they're able to spend. The Dodgers are under a very little amount of pressure, in my opinion, because they just won last year. And because for the next 10 years, we know what that lineup's going to look like. It's going to be pretty damn good. They're going to have more opportunities here. I feel like in a weird way, it is the Padres or the Cubs. Both these windows are closing rapidly, and I don't know what the chances are on either of them. I don't think they're that good for either of them. But in a weird way, I do think this opening wild card series between the Padres and the Cubs, one of these teams has to win, and they have to win soon because they both have a lot of aging people on this roster. Totally. And I don't know when the next time they're going to be back in a competitive spot is.
The Cubs sound like they might lose Kyle Tucker in the offseason. The Padres, we know they went all in. They gave away the future to try to go win a World Series this year or next year. Padres have massive pressure. I think the Phillies are a team that has a lot of pressure because even though the Phillies are a perennial team that goes in the postseason and wins, they don't really win the big one recently. They haven't done it. They've come up short in the biggest moments. The Phillies, it feels like every year they run this roster back with Harper and Schwarber and Trey Turner and Nick Castellanos. And it's like, on paper, it's unreal. And it just feels like they have these big meltdowns. Like Arizona beat them a few years ago. Arizona had no business beating them in that series, and they absolutely took it to them. So I think Philadelphia is a team that, even though they will be back next year and still be a massive favorite, at some point you can't just, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's what it feels like with Philadelphia right now.
Here's the thing, right? Philadelphia, it's going to ebb and flow with them. They're going to be able to get back here in a few years because A, it's a really well-run organization, and B, they have the spending to do it. The Padres, through the first 50 years of the franchise, or 51, I can't remember the exact number, made the postseason 4 times. Within the last 6 years, they've made the postseason 4 times. You're going to see a drought here. I've said it a few times, and they're kind of doing a good job of delaying the inevitable, but you're in for a decade of suck if you're a Padres fan. It's coming.
Yeah, which is a bummer.
It's a bummer. It's a huge bummer. So, but when you talk about pressure, that pressure's building on these Padres.
And you got Machado and guys that are aging veterans. And you're like,
but you still have them in their prime for just a couple more years.
Is Machado still in his prime?
That's a great question. Not a postseason player. All right. Quick break here. On the other side, we're going to give away some Aztec football tickets. Keep listening for those. This Friday night, they're playing against Colorado State at Snapdragon Stadium. Huge game for the Aztecs, opening up Mountain West play. They're 3-1 on the season. Sean Lewis has talked about it a bunch. By the way, you'll hear from Sean Lewis coming up a little bit later this week on his coach's show. But the importance of having that place full makes a difference, man. If you want to win a pair of tickets, it's coming up next. San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey, it's Fletch for Gary Cooper over at Mountain Trust Mortgage and Realty. Look, I've talked about Gary Cooper a ton over the last several months. If you want to support this show, if you like what Sammy and I do, and if you're in a situation where you have questions about any step in the home buying or home selling or home equity process, give my friend Gary Cooper a call today. The call is free, the consultation is free, and Gary Cooper will have a conversation with you about what is going to be the best situation for you. Call him today at 858-376-1299. A lot of times in my life, I look at situations where I'm about to make a big purchase and I go to people I trust. My wife and I are in this process right now. We're looking to buy our first home, our family home that we're going to raise our children in. We're trusting one person with it, and his name's Gary Cooper, man. Before you pull the trigger on a home equity line of credit from someone else, just call Mountain Trust Mortgage and Realty, call Gary Cooper, and have a conversation with him, and he will lead you in the right direction. I've told this story before on air too. We were down the line a little bit on a home that both of us really liked. Gary Cooper told us, I will not represent you in this home purchase because it's a bad decision for you to make. You need that kind of honesty from someone when you're talking about the biggest investment of your life. Gary Cooper will give you that type of honesty. Give him a call today. It's free. 858-376-1299. No matter what step you're in, whether you're trying to take money out of your home with a home equity line of credit, whether you are trying to sell a house, Gary Cooper will represent you and make sure you get the most money for your house. Whether you're trying to buy a house, he's going to keep the most amount of money as possible in your own pocket, which is where it belongs. Because if you want to make upgrades to that house, you're going to need it. Give my friend Gary Cooper a call today, 858-376-1299. You can also visit him online at mountaintrustmortgage.com. And when you pick that phone up to call him, make sure you tell him the Fletch sent you. If you want, email me, Benjamin Fletcher at iHeartMedia.com. I will put you directly in touch with Gary Cooper. I'll make that introduction. Happy to do it. Call him today, 858-376-1299. Tonight, 6 o'clock on San Diego Sports 760, it's SDFC Midweek Live. Hear from the head coach, Mikey Varis, as well as interviews with players and coaches. Find out the latest club and MLS information. SDFC Midweek Live coming up tonight, 6 o'clock right here on your home for SDFC, San Diego Sports 760. Hey, you're running out of time here. If you want to get some fantasy football questions in from our fantasy football expert, Stan Lazinski, he's going to be jumping on in about 10 minutes. Text us, 70470. Start your message with the word team. We got a couple good ones coming in. I'm actually going to have to text some of these to Stan beforehand because we got one with custom scoring that's complicated, man. So if you want to
get them all in,
text the show 70470. Start your message with team. Start sit questions for week 5.
Stan's been legit too. Stan's come through. Like every week he was called the Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker.
Dude's money.
Yeah, Stan knows what he's doing.
He's literally dedicated his life to this. You know, he was. I don't know. We haven't talked about this on air with Stan, but he was like not with Red Bull, but he was an extreme sports guy. Like he was the guy jumping out of planes. He's broken his wrist like 12 times. It's crazy the life that this dude has lived. And then he quit his job and said, you know what? For a year, I'm going to do fantasy football.
Shout out to Stan Lazinski, man.
He literally quit his job and said, I'm dedicating everything to fantasy football.
He's like, I don't want to like break my wrist anymore.
He's managing like 90 something lineups this year for different people. You can sign up on his website and have him manage your lineup for you.
Stan knows what he's doing. I'm excited to talk to him here in a few minutes because one of my leagues I'm 0-4 in the work league. Dom and I are 4-0. I mean, we know that Ben was talking a lot of mess for the
3-1 and I've lost by a total of 0.5 points. I also have the highest points scored in the league.
All I hear are excuses.
3-1. You're right. You are what your record is. All right. Real quick before we get to Stan, Bengals head coach Zach Taylor today in media, he was asked about his confidence in Jake, or is it Jake or Jack Browning? Jake Browning. Jake the Snake. That's right. Was asked about his confidence in Jake Browning. He said, quote, unwavering confidence in Jake Browning.
Wow.
This is a Bengals team that had a good record a couple of weeks ago. Were they 2-0? They were 2-0.
They're 2-0, yeah.
They were 2-0 when Joe Burrow got hurt. You're telling me you couldn't have traded for Jameis Winston?
Well, it's clear that they're just trying to lose and get a draft pick next year because it's honestly what the Bengals need. They need a defense. They need to recoup and get a defense because you're not going to be able to do that just picking where they were perennially in the playoffs, late there in the late teens. But it's just, yeah. I mean, Jamar Chase said it didn't look like the guys wanted it on Monday night. Like Monday night was an abomination. They on the first drive of the game, they got into the Broncos territory. And ever since then, they couldn't even crack the 50-yard line. So they're either trying to lose out, or if they were serious about the season, they would go Jameis Winston. But in a team that was purely built on Joe Burrow's greatness and the receivers, when you don't have Joe Burrow, that defense is not good enough to win you any games. So I think that they're giving you the PR answer, but they're trying to lose games.
Unwavering confidence in Jake Browning. Really? The rest of us watched his last couple of games.
3 points. Wow.
I don't know if I have unwavering confidence in him. All right. We got some serious questions popping up here in the Padres game. I would pull Dylan Cease immediately. Coach Schmidt. He's been giving up hard contact all day. Hasn't given up a run
Mike
yet.
Schilt not looking like he's going out there.
Dude, I don't. If this next one's a home run, this game might be on Mike Schilt, especially because you've had more home warming up for a couple innings now. I don't know, man.
It's always interesting.
Ooh, this makes me nervous. It really does. All right, San Diego Sports 760, our fantasy football expert, Stan Lazinski, is coming up next. Get your questions in on the text line 70470. Start your message with team. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app.
This sport is sponsored by SDG&E. The Padres currently are in the bottom of the 4th inning. They just pulled Dylan Cease for Adrian Morejon. The Guardians earlier tied the series against the Tigers 6-1. That game will be at 10 a.m. tomorrow to see who goes on to play the Seattle Mariners. In peak wildfire season, as a last resort, SDG&E may need to shut off power in specific areas for public safety. Learn more about public safety power shutoffs at sdgne.com/PSPS.
San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. This has been a masterclass in distracted radio, Sammy, as we're kind of living and dying on every pitch here. You know what we're talking about, but Dylan Cease does get taken out of the game. Morejon comes in, gets out of the inning. Good move, Mike Schultz. We're not going to question that one too much. All right. Every week at 1:30 on Wednesdays, we bring on our fantasy football expert. His name is Stan Lazinski. You can find him at dynastypricecheck.com. Hell, he'll even manage your lineup for you if you go sign up over there. Stan, what is going on, man? Happy week 5 in the NFL season.
Thanks for having me back, boys. Yeah, it's been a crazy couple weeks. The injuries are really starting to fly here, unfortunately. So I think a lot of people are in panic mode. And man, Ben, I just feel like I'm your bearer of bad news, bro. I just get the Brock Purdy alert right before I get on here that he's ruled out again this week. Why are they doing this to us, man? I feel like I'm the one coming on telling you your Niners are banged up.
No, I knew about this one because Sammy, the sick little man that he is, as soon as that one came across the Twitter timeline, he like had a smile on his face.
Stan, don't worry, I let him know.
He reached through the glass here in studio and was like, "Hey, Fletch, guess what? Brock Purdy."
No,
Ricky
I was
Pearsall,
just laughing because we have to hear about how
Jennings.
Brock Purdy's so good, and now all of a sudden Mac Jones is going to lead him to a victory tomorrow night. That's the switch up.
Okay, Stan, honestly, serious question. Before we get to some of this fantasy stuff, Sammy and I are in this Circle Survivor pool out in Las Vegas where we put up $1,000 to get into this thing, and we pick one team every week. Normal Survivor pool, can't pick the same team twice. All of a sudden, Sammy's like all aboard the Rams train because of all the injuries on the Niners. Kyle Shanahan knows Sean McVay way too well to just feel so comfortable about this and risk what could end up being $18 million. Am I right on that? Talk me off the ledge.
Oh, man. I mean, if you're asking me who I'm taking, unfortunately, I am leaning the Rams. The injuries are just a little bit too
but is that the
for me.
But is that the safe pick this week?
It is the safe pick.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, well, I mean, are you talking all the matchups this week?
Yes.
No, I think your safest pick this week is the Cardinals versus the Titans. I think the Titans are abysmal. They can't even put up a single point. I think that's your lock of the week.
Yeah, we agree with that too. We already taken the Cardinals. We'll get into this off air, Stan. We got you here for fantasy football reasons and fantasy football reasons alone. All right, big question for you. Jackson Dart, is he must start from here on out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dart comes out of the woodwork here. You know, I wasn't exactly in love with his prospect profile coming out of college, but the man can run the ball. He's giving you a ton of rushing attempts. He looks really efficient in the passing game as well this week. I think if he's on your waiver wire or if you can make a trade for him in some of these leagues and he's not going to cost you an arm and a leg with all the QB injuries going around, Jackson Dart's a great pickup at this point.
Okay, A58's asking about if they had Malik Neighbors and Tyreek Hill on their team, where do they need to go? Where is there anyone on the waiver wire they can start?
Go take a cool dip in the ocean. You're having a rough week there, but I would say, you know, if you're looking at your waiver wire and you're looking for guys that you could maybe plug and play this week, especially on that Giants side, Darius Slayton might be a deep cut for you. I mean, they did give him a pretty sizable extension this offseason, so they at least have some faith in him. And like we saw, Jackson Dart is actually, you know, going to keep this offense relatively humming over there. You know, I think outside of that, if you really need another deep cut, Romeo Doubs did come out of the woodwork this week and give you a 30-point fantasy week, which I certainly didn't expect. I know we got Jaden Reed and Christian Watson both coming back from injury within the next couple weeks, but Doubs might get you for one more week here. And then finally, you know, for my waiver wire folks out there, I think the major waiver wire pickup this week for me is not Woody Marks like everyone's talking about. It's Malik Washington. I mean, with Tyreek Hill going down, they were already getting him involved in these end arounds, giving him some rushing opportunities. I mean, he looks like a guy that I would feel comfortable putting in the flex this week and just riding.
Stan Lazinski, he's our fantasy football expert, joins us every Wednesday at this time. You can find him at dynastypricecheck.com or Dynasty Price Check on both TikTok and Instagram. He'll be streaming live on TikTok a little bit later on today. Stan, curious about I'm sticking with the Giants for whatever reason, but the New York Giants backfield, if Tyrone Tracy gets healthy and he's still questionable for this week, where are you going with that? Do you have to sit Cam Scattaboo, or are you sticking with Scattaboo because he's going to get the goal line work?
No, I'm sticking with Cam at this point. To be completely frank with you guys, I mean, I loved him coming out of college. I think he was a real culture guy, and I think guys like Brian Dable now rolling with Jackson Dart and trying to turn this Giants team around, they recognize that. This guy runs hard. He breaks tackles. He's got great metrics. He's, getting involved in the receiving game. This last week, he only sees 2 catches, but the week before he had 6. I just think they're looking at Cam as a guy that can do everything for them and riding with this new regime. So I'm not worried about starting Cam Scatabo. In fact, your boy himself is starting him in several leagues this week. So I'll give you the green light on Cam.
760 says, please ask Stan this. I'm getting text on Rashee Rice's value. Is he even tradable after waiting it out, or should I depart from him now?
No, I mean, if you've waited it out this long, he's absolutely going to have a role. In fact, I actually was just talking earlier this week on a separate podcast about how this Chiefs team is kind of giving me a little bit of hope that we might look at it kind of the way of old, where, in the past you had Travis Kelce as the short route guy that Mahomes would dump the ball down to. That's not happening as much anymore. Kelce's aging out. Rashee Rice is going to take over that role. Xavier Worthy looks like the guy that's going to take over that Tyreek Hill big play role. And so where it used to be Kelce and Hill as must starts, I view Worthy and Rice as must starts. That being said, I do want to just touch briefly on the fact that I know a lot of people are dealing with wide receiver injuries out there. And when we're talking about a guy like Xavier Worthy, I think especially in these redraft formats, he is extremely undervalued. Patrick Mahomes came out singing his praises after the week he had this week, saying how nice it is to have him back in the lineup, how they want to rely on him. Even last year during the playoffs, you watched him get hyper usage. I think Xavier Worthy is one of those guys that's still viable in a trade, and he's one of my major targets in redraft leagues for people that are sustaining injuries.
Stan, text from the 858 here. Now, this is for a league where it's running back quarter point PPR, wide receiver half, tight end full point PPR. So if you got that, those are the stipulations here. They're looking for a flex spot between Chase Brown, Jacoby Myers, and Devontae Smith.
Yeah, that's brutal. I think, unfortunately, I'm gonna be fading Chase Brown at this point until I see more out of this Bengals offense. I think I'm still gonna lean Jacoby Myers. My reasoning on that one is simply that the Raiders, although they haven't looked fantastic, they're certainly not afraid to air it out. I mean, Geno's getting at least 20 attempts per game, and they haven't been, shy to go ahead and dish those targets out. I still think Jacoby Myers has got some upside this week, even against a Colts defense that's looking a little tough.
The 626 is asking, what do for the Cardinals? Marvin Harrison, rough first half, gets it going there in the second half, catches the big touchdown. Where do you view Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yeah, Marv's a really tough one, right? Because I'm not the biggest Marvin Harrison Jr. fan. In fact, my Seahawks bias shines through here, but I consistently talk about how Jackson Smith-Njigba was a far more exciting prospect out of the same college, but didn't get nearly as much of the hype. However, Marvin Harrison Jr., I was really worried about his confidence and his, ability to kind of have a breakout season here. Towards the end of the game, he does find a lot of life there, kind of mosses Devin Witherspoon, one of the best corners in the league, and finds some good catches. So I do expect him and Kyler to now start to hit a little bit more of the stride, especially with some easy matchups coming their way in the next few weeks. So I would say I'm comfortable starting Marvin Harrison Jr. for the next couple of weeks, knowing that he is a wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 potential. I view him in a similar range as like a Jameson Williams, where any week he could go crazy, but there's some weeks that, I'm still worried about his floor, maybe only about 8 or 9 points.
Stan Lazinski joining us today. He's our fantasy football expert. You can find him at dynastypricecheck.com. Stan, what's been the biggest topic on your TikTok lives over the last week?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's got to be the injuries to these wide receivers, right? What do I do now that Malik Neighbors is gone? What do I do now that Tyreek Hill is gone? I do think Jalen Waddle obviously finds a decent amount of relevancy here. However, I think, guys, if I'm giving the advice to the viewers right now, I'm saying there's still a lot of time in this season left, and there's been some big names that have still been underperforming and are dealing with injuries. I think if you're one of the injury-ridden wide receiver teams and you can go ahead and make it through one more week, the time to trade for Mike Evans, the time to trade for guys like Terry McLaurin, A.J. Brown, Brian Thomas Jr., the underperformers out there, this is your time, because sooner or later there's going to be enough injuries that those guys are no longer going to be available. People are holding on for dear life until they come back. I also think the last thing I will say, speaking of that Buccaneers team, is Chris Godwin comes back from injury this last week and actually looks really encouraging. Now, they wasn't working solely out of the slot like he used to, so they're going to line him up, out on the outside as well. But I think he's one of those guys that before people start catching on and paying too much attention, he might be a good wide receiver buy for those teams that are dealing with a lot of injuries this week.
Stan, thank you so much for your time, man. Always appreciate it. What time are you going live on TikTok tonight?
Yes, sir. We'll be live just after 7 p.m. tonight. We got a brand new camera and new microphone set up. The boys coming up in the world. So come on there for a nice crispy image, and I'll be happy to answer all your guys' questions.
How about that? We'll jump on. We'll see you tonight, Stan.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it. Dynasty Price Check on TikTok and Instagram. Also, dynastypricecheck.com is where you can find Stan. He's a self-made man who's dedicated himself to fantasy football. Appreciate you, Stan.
Hell yeah. Thanks, guys. Have a great week, and good luck to those Niners against the Rams this week.
Absolutely. There he is, Stan Lazinski. All right. We're running out of time here. John and Jim are going to be coming up next. They will have full post-game reaction from what's going down between the Padres and the Cubs right now. And I will say, thoroughly impressed because he came through. The entire Padres fan base was waiting for Manny Machado to come through. He just came through in a big way with Fernando Tatis Jr. on second. Manny rips a 2-run home run. Wow. What a freaking moment for the Padres. That was cool to see, man. That was really, really cool to see. Quick break. We'll react to that. Plus get you ready for John and Jim coming up next at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Pretty cool moment, man. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long, we got you for about 5 more minutes.
Through.
John and Jim are coming up right after this. They'll have full post-game reaction as well as in-game reaction. What's going down in Chicago right now with the Padres and the Cubs. What a moment, man. Everything leading up to that would tell you that would not have gone that way. Manny Machado came up twice in this game with runners in scoring position and did not come through for the Padres. Today, in the 5th inning, Manny Machado with Fernando Tatis Jr. on second base hits a home run. Incredible moment for Manny, an incredible moment for the Padres. Hopefully an incredible moment for San Diego. We'll see what kind of launching pad that is for the rest of this postseason. I mean, the Padres still have their backs up against the wall. They got to get through the rest of this game, obviously. They got to win tomorrow. But what a freaking moment. That's
right, it's
one
not
that's
done,
gonna be,
but look what happened.
That's going to be replayed for a while, man.
Fernando gets on base. Manny Machado finally comes through. This is what everyone in San Diego has been asking for. It's like they're getting paid to do this. It finally happens. That was a huge moment for the Padres. As you said, it could be a potential series shifting play, especially as with the Padres not coming through earlier in the game with some big opportunities. Does look like now the Cubs will be chasing. So
and this is what you want, man. You want to give your bullpen a 3-run lead. This is where the Padres are supposed to be unbeatable.
This is what AJ Preller makes a deal for Mason Miller to end the game on.
By the way, he was filthy yesterday. My God.
Right. He's unbelievable. So if you can get through this, Morahone just pitched. We'll see how long he goes if he's coming out for this. But wow, massive moment from Manny Machado. Shout out to him.
That was big time. That's one of those, what we were talking about last night with the New York Yankees. That's one of those postseason moments. And Manny Machado just etched himself into this postseason. What a freaking moment for the Padres. And by the way, Manny Machado, like 5 plays before that, got hurt. Running to the sideline, going after a ball in foul territory. Then steps up with that moment and the celebration from Tatis, from Machado. That's what we were all imagining heading into this postseason, and we just got to see it play out live. That was cool, man. That's one that we won't forget for a while. So congratulations to Manny. Congratulations to the Padres. Go finish the job. Get this win.
858 said this was before the Machado home run, but still holds value. Was this the last time we see Cease in a Padres uniform?
I mean, depends on how this postseason goes.
Right, because he pitched pretty well in this game.
Dude, it was scary. I don't. Like, yeah,
right,
it's finished his start with 0 runs given up. It felt like there were a couple moments where he was about to give up a few runs.
It wasn't an excellent start because it didn't give you a lot of length, and now the pen is going to have to finish the rest of this game. But he did pitch better. I think if you would have told people that Cease puts up a 0, albeit through 3 to 4 innings, you would have taken it. I probably the only ways he's back next year is if the Padres go on a little bit of a run here.
He may start again this postseason. Now, is he back with the Padres next year? I don't think so. I really don't.
Right, because if
no matter how this goes,
if the Padres want him back. If the Padres get bounced, he won't be back. If the Padres do go on a run and Cease is performing well, they're going to get priced out. So I think either way, probably not.
For sure. Our buddy Rich McGuire, who's been watching us and the Padres at the same time this whole time. Thank you for being here, Rich. We appreciate it. Says Eddie Vedder isn't welcome in Encinitas anymore, or at least Cardiff, where I'm watching today. Yeah, they show Eddie Vedder up on the screen. He's wearing a freaking Cubs jersey.
I don't understand.
I thought he was a Padres Mariners fan.
This is what I try to tell everyone.
The Vedder Cup means nothing. It's meaningless.
The Vedder Cup is the dumbest thing to ever happen to sports.
Look, I hope it raised a lot of money this year for
I hope it did too.
Charitable organization.
It's the whole Eddie Vedder thing.
We got Eddie Vedder sitting front row at a Cubs Padres playoffs game, and he's wearing a Cubs jersey.
Well, yeah, and I thought the whole thing was that he's because he's from Seattle, or they broke out of Seattle. He's from San Diego,
right? Yeah. That's why it's the Vedder Cup.
I think Eddie's just looking for checks now.
Is Eddie Vedder a poser? Did we just find that out?
Eddie Vedder's a front runner. He better not show up with a Padre jersey on tomorrow if they win this game.
You know who are the new face of the Padres in terms of celebrity should be? Emma Stone.
Yeah, Emma Stone.
Every game Emma Stone goes to.
Phenomenal actress.
Great Padres fan.
Oscar winner.
Great Padres fan. Remember they were in New York and she's there in the front row wearing her Padres varsity jacket. It was great. Our buddy Tyler also on YouTube with a big hell yeah after that Machado home run. Cool to see, man. John and Jim are going to have full reaction to it. That was a moment.
Can I tell you something? They're interviewing Manny Machado in the dugout right now.
I wouldn't.
It's odd to me that ESPN and MLB, they do interviews mid-game. Like,
it's weird to me that the Players Association would allow that. Like, I would never.
Like, I can't believe, like, they're talking, like, Terry Francona last night, the Dodgers are, like, beating the crap. It was, like, 6-0 right at the time. And they go up to him. He's like, how do you feel about how your team just played? Like, what is he supposed to say? Like, Yeah, they sucked. Like I player and manager interviews during games, I feel like should not be there. It's insane to me that like there's a game going on and Manny Machado's got to do an interview on ESPN right now.
And does that take your focus out of it? There's a lot of things that go into it. Now, baseball is the one sport outside of like maybe golf where you could get away with doing something like this, but I hate it. I think it's the dumbest thing ever. I wish they would never do it, but that's kind of the way it crumbles. So we'll be back with you tomorrow, no matter what. The Padres may or not. Wow.
May or may not be. Hopefully they are playing tomorrow during our show.
Hopefully they are playing tomorrow during our show is exactly what I was trying to say. John and Jim will have full reaction of whatever goes down in Chicago over the next 3 innings coming up next. The hope is that the Padres can close this thing out, force a game 3, and then you, Darvish, takes the bump tomorrow and feel how you want to feel about that. Sammy and I will come up with our emotions and figure it out by noon tomorrow. I can promise you that. We're going to have more tickets to give away tomorrow as well. Tomorrow, the coach will be stopping by.
Ooh.
That's going to be a can't miss. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm excited. Coach, yeah, we're going to have to figure that out because Coach, I can't wait to hear what Coach
I don't know if Coach Quintera is going to take 10 minutes away from the TV.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to do Friday. We'll talk. If the Padres win today, we'll figure out if Coach is on tomorrow. He will be on Thursday or Friday this week. We'll let you all know on Twitter. By the way, again, 1,000 people on the stream, despite the Padres playing. It means a lot that everyone is out here riding with us while everyone's got their focus on the Padres today.
That was fun, man. That was a good show, Sammy. Nice work. Stan Lazinski, if you missed it, gave out some fantasy football expertise for week 5. You can find that on the podcast. We're out of here. John and Jim next. Keep it locked right here on San Diego Sports 760 for the best Padres coverage. John and Jim will have it all covered coming up next. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.